Sakura is a pharmacist who is known for being honest and hardworking. She always puts her hard work before her family, sometimes even working till midnight to finish her tasks. Her family hates this habit of hers, but Sakura doesn't care. She just wants to continue helping people. One night as she's working in her lab, suddenly a mysterious person arrives at the door and shoots her with a gun. Sakura, who's facing the other side, is fatally shot in her lower chest and the bullet goes through her. It appears as if she's going to bleed out immediately, but just then something strange happens. Time suddenly freezes inside the lab and the god of death, Shinigami, appears right before her as Sakura witnesses everything in disbelief. Shinigami mentions that she's going to die soon, however he can provide her with 15 seconds to catch the killer. The task is a challenging one, as 15 seconds is barely enough to identify the killer, let alone apprehend him or her. Nonetheless, Sakura is adamant on finding out the truth on why she was abruptly shot. She believes that she's a good person who doesn't have any enemies at all. Following this, Shinigami begins describing the rules of the additional 15 seconds. He says that as soon as he starts the timer, Sakura will have to find a way to catch the killer. However, she's given the option to pause and restart the 15 seconds at any instant. This means that she can complete one task, pause the time, and then think about her next step. The introduction of this rule makes Sakura more hopeful that she can succeed in her mission. In the next scene, the timer finally starts and Sakura attempts to complete her first task, which is to turn around and see the killer. Unfortunately, as she's just been shot, the pain is still reverberating in her body. This causes Sakura to whimper in pain, and by the time she pauses the timer, a second has already passed. Now the already difficult task has been made more challenging, as Sakura has only 14 seconds left on the timer. However, unwilling to give up, she uses the last ounce of her strength and finally turns around. When the timer resumes, to her disbelief, the killer is Kim, the daughter of one of her former clients. It's revealed that her mother suffered from depression and took regular medication from Sakura. However, even after months of treatment, her symptoms didn't improve, so Sakura prescribed her with an even stronger dose. Unfortunately, one day the woman overdosed on the medications and passed away. Kim found her lying on the floor and became devastated at the sight. This is when she became determined to exact revenge against Sakura. Back in the room, Sakura realizes that Kim is after her because of her mother's death. Since she's innocent, she wants the police to know that it was Kim who shot her. Now, Sakura's only plan is to frame Kim for the murder. There might be only 13 seconds left on the timer, but she has a plan already. Wasting no time, she restarts the timer and throws some powder on the floor. She then grabs the remote to the lights and turns them off, making the room completely dark. The logic behind this is that when the killer enters the room, she will inadvertently step on the powder and thus leave footprints. This will help the police easily find and apprehend her. Sakura figures out how to finish the job in 2 seconds. However, she accepts that it is still insufficient. Subsequently, she continues the clock and hustles to her work area, where she snatches a marker and starts jotting the name of the executioner. When she says stop, just 8 seconds are remaining on the clock. Shinigami, who's observing this, remarks that the thought is excessively basic, as Kim will see her name on the table and scrawl on top of it. Anyway, Sakura answers that it's precisely what she needs. Talking about this, she restarts the clock, breaks a container of blossoms on the table and covers Kim's name with it. She then, at that point, tosses the marker away, ensuring that the executioner will never find it. Sakura says now if Kim needs to adjust the composing, she will have to utilize one more marker on the table. Anyway, since this marker has a different ink, the police will without any problem learn about it. Shinigami views as the thought splendid, yet he says that the executioner won't get bulldozed with such ease. Sakura should accomplish something different, with just 7 seconds staying on the clock now. Hearing this, the last option seems stressed. Be that as it may, right then another thought comes to her mind. She restarts the clock and embeds 2 rose blossoms inside the electric attachment. She then kicks a close by pail. What's more, spills all the water on the floor. By the time she's finished, there are just 5 seconds left. In any case, Sakura accepts that her arrangement will absolutely work. She makes sense of that the rose blossoms are obstructing the compositions on the table and Kim should eliminate them at some point, and in the process she will step on the water on the floor and get shocked. Sakura accepts that the shock will be sufficient to kill the executioner. Hearing this, even the Lord of Death becomes dazzled and begins applauding. Anyway, Sakura is as yet not content with the excess 5 seconds on the clock. She needs to leave more subtleties for the police. Anyway, when she jumps to get something sad happens, the executioner shoots her indeed directly through the chest. It ends up that when Sakura pivoted before, Kim expected that she planned to assault, consequently not able to take any risks. She shot the unfortunate drug specialist for the second time. Presently, Sokka is nearly demised due to the difficulty. Just 0.6 seconds are staying on the clock. Shinigami approaches her and requests that she surrender. It isn't to say the leftover time adequate to do anything. Sakura acknowledges her destiny too, yet prior to dying, she believes Kim should know the real truth. So with each strength in her body, Sakura plunges to the floor and snatches an envelope that evidently holds top privileged data. She likewise snatches the marker to compose a note for Kim, yet before she could start, the clock runs out. In this manner, Sakura bites the dust. A grievous demise. In the following scene, Kim enters the room gradually yet mindfully. When she sees the condition of the room, she right away understands that Sakura has made some sharp changes. Anyway, Kim is a brilliant young lady too, to try not to leave impressions on the floor. She rapidly wears Sakura's shoes and goes into the room. Following this, she sees her name on the wrecked work area. Furthermore, gets ready to jot over it. Anyway, when she snatches the marker on the table, she quickly understands it's a different one, so she checks out the room and at last sees as the right marker. In this manner, Kim has sidestepped 2 of the snare set for her. Now she just has to jot over her name on the wrecked up work area. Anyway, when she contacts it, she gets shocked in view of the wet floor. Kim doesn't wind up dead, however the shock figures out how to take her unconscious. A couple of hours after the fact, she at long last awakens to the strides of the safety officer. Frightened, Kim rapidly gets up, snatches the marker and composes over her name to leave no subtleties for the police. Anyway, as she's going to leave, she sees the envelope in Sakura's grasp. What's more, removes it, trusting that it's significant proof. Kim then, at that point, goes to another room and opens the envelope inside, which she views as a letter. Shockingly, when she peruses it, she begins crying. It is uncovered that the letter is from, as a matter of fact, her mother, the one who had been fighting misery for quite a while, trusted that she had turned into a weight to her little girl. Subsequently, she quit taking the drugs. endorsed by Sakura, which plunge her into a significantly further pit of wretchedness. Finally, when she couldn't persevere, she took poison and took her life. Subsequent to going through it all, Kim is crushed as she has ended the existence of a guiltless individual who is simply attempting to help her mom. She tumbles to the floor and starts crying plentifully. In the last scene, the police show up and start researching the region. Shockingly, they track down a note with Kim's name composed on it. On account of this, the executioner is at long last secured. The film closes as Shinigami holds two blossoms over the departed Sakura. He uncovers that he composed the note himself, as he needed to reward her persistent effort and assurance.